For years, I've treated my stepkids like they were my own. I raised them, cared for them, and gave them everything I had, yet they don't miss an opportunity to remind me that I'm not their real mom. After all this time, I've finally decided to show them what life is like without a mom. I'm 36, and my husband is 40. We've been married for 8 years, though our relationship has been far from perfect. When we met, he already had 2 kids, 16-year-old twins, a boy and a girl. Despite everything, I've always loved them like they were mine. Because of my own struggles with infertility, I embraced the role of their mother completely. Last year, my husband and I tried for a baby, and for a moment, I thought my dream was finally coming true. But I lost the pregnancy due to complications. That loss broke something inside me. It made me question if I was ever meant to be a mom at all. The twins' biological mother hasn't been in their lives for years. She abandoned them to run off with a man in New York. It's devastating to think they never got to have a real relationship with her. Over time, the kids started calling me mom, and we built a life together as a family. It was everything I had ever wanted. Growing up, I always told myself I'd never date a man with kids. I didn't want to deal with the complications of having an ex in the picture. But when I met my husband, I took a leap of faith. For a while, it seemed like I'd made the right choice. I thought we had a perfect little family. That illusion shattered the other day. The twins wanted to go to the mall with their friends, which was fine with me since they do that often. The problem started when I saw what my stepdaughter was wearing. She had on a tiny skirt, a crop top, and a jean jacket. I told her to change because I didn't feel comfortable with her going out dressed like that. I still don't know where she got that skirt, usually. She shows me everything she buys during her shopping trips, but not this time. Her brother didn't care about her outfit and just rolled his eyes at me. My stepdaughter, on the other hand, lost her temper. She stormed up the stairs, and from the top she yelled, "You're not my mom, so stop acting like it." Her brother laughed, and it hit me like a punch to the chest. I looked at him and asked what he thought was so funny. He shrugged and said, "She's right. You're not our mom, so stop pretending you can tell us what to do." I was stunned. After everything I've done for them, this is how they see me. For months they've been treating me like this, but it's only gotten worse. My stepdaughter even told me it was my fault I lost my baby. She said she was glad it happened. Hearing those words crushed me, but the next day, I decided to stop crying and take a stand. I didn't yell or argue. Instead, I acted like nothing had happened. I made a quiet decision to stop playing the role of their mom. Usually I wake them up for school, but that morning I let them sleep in. I made breakfast for myself only. My stepson had a basketball game that day. Normally, I'd be the one bringing snacks for the team. This time I didn't go. 2 days later, my stepdaughter had a cheerleading competition, and I skipped that too. I know what you're probably thinking, that I'm being petty. And maybe you're right. But after all the disrespect I've endured, I just couldn't keep giving to them like before. Last night, my stepdaughter came to me and asked why I didn't go to her competition. I looked at her and said, "I'm not your mom, so why would I?" She stared at me, speechless, and walked away. I know people will say they're just kids, and I should be the bigger person. But how much disrespect is one person supposed to take? I told my husband what happened, expecting him to at least support me. Instead, he brushed it off like it wasn't a big deal. That hurt more than anything. Now I'm questioning everything. I don't think our marriage can survive this. I feel like I'm invisible in this house. I work so hard for this family, but it's like nothing I do matters. I cook meals and they order takeout instead. I eat alone while the food I made goes untouched. Am I wrong for standing my ground? Did I take things too far? I'm sorry I didn't update sooner. I've spent the last few days thinking about what my next move should be. Things came to a breaking point, and I knew I needed to do something. I tried to sit down with the kids and my husband to talk things through. I wanted us to address everything as a family. But the moment we started, my stepdaughter had her phone in her hand and barely looked up. She wasn't even listening to me. To my surprise, her brother actually paid attention. He apologized for laughing at what they said to me during the argument, which was unexpected. I took a deep breath and asked my stepdaughter if she could apologize too. Specifically, I wanted her to acknowledge the cruel comment she made about my baby. But she brushed me off again. She looked me in the eye and said, "The baby deserved it." My heart dropped. I felt humiliated, and worse, my husband just sat there doing nothing. He didn't say a word to her. He didn't defend me. He just sat there, staring into space like none of this concerned him. In that moment, I realized I couldn't keep living like this. I told him I wanted a divorce. If he was going to act like I was nothing to him, if he couldn't even stand up for me when his kids disrespected me so blatantly, then I didn't see the point of staying. That got his attention for the first time in months. He told me that divorce wasn't the right decision, that we could go to therapy and work things out. But the thing is, I had already suggested therapy months ago. Back then, he didn't care. He brushed it off like he always does. Now suddenly it matters. I know this isn't the decision most people would make, but I've spent so much time feeling unwanted and unappreciated in my own home. I need to figure out what I want for myself. He begged me to reconsider, and for a moment I almost gave in. I wanted to believe him, to believe that things could change. But deep down, I know it would only happen again. What really shocked me was how my stepkids reacted. They cried. I couldn't tell if they were being genuine or just trying to manipulate me, but seeing tears in their eyes broke my heart. Even so, I can't ignore the way they've treated me. I've decided to stay with my mom for now. I need time to think, to clear my head, and to figure out what's next. All of this has been too much for me to handle. Right before I left, my stepdaughter came up to me. Her entire demeanor had changed. She apologized and said she was sorry for how she'd acted. I don't know if she meant it or if she was just ready for me to leave. Either way, it didn't feel sincere. For now, I'm stepping away from this situation and focusing on myself. I need to rebuild my life. I'll be deleting this app and won't be updating anymore. But before I go, I just want to say thank you to everyone who shared their advice and supported me through this. It means more than you know. Farewell. It's time for me to start a new chapter.